All right. We're getting live going here. We are live on all the platforms, and we're going to be talking today specifically about systems for your contracting business. As people are starting to roll in here, I wanted to give everybody a minute to catch up and get going on this. If you have any questions for me, it doesn't have to be systems related, but I'd like to try and stay on with systems today. But if you have general questions about anything with contracting or really just business in general, go ahead and throw them in the comments and I will answer those for you. I want to be a resource for you guys to add value to you and your business. So make sure that you throw your questions in the comments. If you're not following me, go ahead and like and follow. And that way we can stay in touch. So we're going to get going here and got a lot of stuff to talk about around systems today. I get this question a lot about how to create systems in your business. And the short of systems is that it doesn't have to be complicated. I think the one thing that people get hung up on when creating some type of system in your business is that you have to like create the entire system from start to finish the very first go at it. So for example, let's say you want to create an estimating system. You want a better way to estimate jobs, okay? So what you think you have to do is like go out and either find a software that will do it for you, or you have to sit down and for like 3 days straight just create this entire system from start to finish, and then when you're done it's the perfect system, and then all you have to do is plug it into your business and you're good to go. Like that's it. And that can't be further from the truth. Anytime you're using systems in your business or creating systems, you generally start off with some kind of rough draft. It's just like if you're going to write a letter or an essay for school, you have to start off with a rough draft. And so when you're creating your system, the very first thing you should do is create some kind of rough draft on paper or on a computer program. It doesn't matter. Word doc, whatever. I like to use a very simple software to outline stuff. It's called Workflowy. For you guys that are watching on Facebook and stuff, I'm going to throw the link in the on the page there. But Workflowy, WORKFLOWY.com. Super easy. I love software and systems that are super easy to use. Workflowy is one of those things that's come along that most people have never heard of, that is like top notch for taking notes and keeping track of stuff. If you haven't looked at it, and there's a free version and the paid version is only like $5 a month. I use it like every day to keep track of information. You can outline stuff, you can move it around. It's just go look at it. Like don't even not do it. Like go look at it. Workflowy.com. It will help to streamline the process. So the first thing you have to do when you have a system is you need to outline what you're trying to solve. What's the problem in your business that you're trying to solve? Is it a communication problem? Is it a sales problem? Is it a misinformation, like stuff's not getting done? Is it processes that need to be done correctly so that they don't get messed up? Like what is it in your business that you need to create a system for? That's the very first thing you have to do, is identify that, and then rough draft layout like what this current system is, and then what you're trying to solve. So people want to overcomplicate this, like way overcomplicate creating systems. You have to start with a rough draft, and then you refine that rough draft, and then you put the initial prototype, if you will, into play. Okay. And then you have to use it. And then after you use it for a while, you're going to find gaps or improvements or things that need to be done in order to refine that. So you're going to go back after using it for a week, a month, whatever, and say, you know what, this works pretty good. Like it solves 60% of our problems, but we still have this, and this we got to solve. So you go back and you refine your system, and you keep adding on to it until eventually, whether it's a week period, a month, a year, whatever, now you have a system that works perfectly without fail every time you use it. And now you can plug that in. And then when you hire someone new, you just train them on the system, and that is done. And it will be done to the standards that you want. So when you're creating systems in your business, they have to be repeatable. And the easier that you can make them, the better. Now, Elon Musk, there was an interview that was done with Elon Musk in the past year. There was a famous YouTuber, a science guy that was interviewing him at the facility where they make the rockets, and he asked him about like processes, and Elon went on this little like tirade or whatever about systems and processes, and I thought it was fascinating, and I wanted to share that with you. One of the first things that he does when trying to create systems is to eliminate steps first. And this was super important. He told the story of they had a problem with the Tesla line of creating the battery. They have the batteries and they have the shroud that would go over the batteries. And then there's like a protective material film that goes in there on top of the batteries. And that was a gridlock in their assembly line. Like it was slowing down everything. And he said he spent an entire week trying to solve this problem. And eventually what he ended up figuring out was that they didn't need this layer of plastic or whatever it was, I don't remember exactly, in the car. And all they had to do was come up with a silicone, and they just put dabs of silicone on the battery to separate. It was for road noise and vibration was what they were trying to eliminate. But what had happened was the people and the engineers in the battery side said they need it, and or thought that the a different department needed it, and the other department thought that the battery engineers needed it, and you had two different departments that thought that this had to be there for a reason, and no one had communicated that. But the first thing he did, he said, if I would have eliminated that first, solved that problem, I would have saved a week's worth of time of execution trying to solve a problem that didn't need to be solved. So he said, you eliminate as many steps as possible until until you're forced to have to put a step back in. So if you have a process that takes 10 steps currently and you want to refine that, you take out as many steps as that's not that you can remove. And then if you get to the point where it's like, well, we took 3 steps out, now we have 7 left. But really we have to do this step. There's no way around eliminating this step. Then you're forced to put it back in. And that's what you want to do when you're creating processes. A lot of times you optimize a process that has too many steps in it. So if you have somewhat of a loose system now in your business, let's say you have a sales process and you want to optimize that process, you don't go in and say, okay, how can we make this better? How can we streamline this process? The first thing you got to do is figure out what you can remove first. You may have additional steps in that sales process that you don't need. For example, one of the things that I teach in the Profit Club is we don't go out and do free estimates. Okay. We don't go out and do free estimates. So are we eliminating a complete step of running out to someone's house for free who may not buy from us? And the answer is yes. And so that one little thing of removing free estimates will save you hours a week, 10 to 15, sometimes 20 hours per week, and it will save you money through gas and time and stuff spent. So by removing that process, you've now improved the entire sales process. Does that make sense? So you want to look at areas where you can improve your systems first by removing things that you don't need and then optimizing what you currently have. Now, sometimes when you remove things, like when you remove not doing free estimates, that's great. It saves you time and money. But how do you solve that problem? So sometimes you remove things, it may create a new problem, but that allows you to go out and find solutions that may be better. A lot of times, and I see this a lot in when I talk with contractors, and they have created some type of system at some point in their business. And it's like, okay, well, why are you doing that? Why are you doing this, and this? Well, that's just how we've always done it. Okay, that's fine. But why? Who created that system? Why are you still using it? Why haven't you looked at trying to solve that problem? Why haven't you looked at doing it differently? And the answer is no one's ever looked at it. They've never spent time to actually look at if there's ways to improve your system. So if you put a system in place, maybe it's a very rough draft, and that's okay. At some point, you need to go back and look at it and say, how can we make this system better? So when if you're going to create a system from scratch, like you're sitting down for the very first time and you need to solve a create a system for something that's not in place now, you're going to have a rough draft, but you should have some type of schedule, if you will, of like implementation. Like, I'm going to spend 5 hours this week roughing out this system, and then we're going to try and implement it. And then 2 weeks from now, we're going to go back and revisit that, or a month from now, or whatever it is. But you need to have some type of schedule of how you're going to implement this, so that, by the end of the year, you may have this fully implemented. Maybe it only takes you a month. I don't know. It just depends on the complexity of the system. But you should have some type of plan in place of how you're going to create and implement and also evaluate the system. Now, this doesn't have to be super complicated. Okay. Again, it could be just you writing on the Google Calendar a month from now, putting a reminder that says, hey, reevaluate your system. And you may only take 10 minutes to look at it. You may look at it and say, okay, this actually works pretty good. Like, the only thing I think that we might need to change is this one little thing here. We need to add this. And you may add that and you're done. That's it. You may not have to do anything else to it. It doesn't have to be this super complicated thing. One thing I can tell you for contractors that a lot of people want to do, and that's build out shelves and stuff in your vans and trailers, right? Super important. If you're not building out shelves and trailers in your, or not trailers, if you're not building out your vans and your trailers for working for what you do, you're losing a lot of time and energy with stuff that can be very streamlined. But the problem with creating like shelving and stuff, that's more of a permanent fix, right? Like, if you go out there and you spend a week or 2 days or whatever, and you build a bunch of shelves in your van, unless you have like every tool that you're possibly ever going to have, and you're never going to buy any new ones, which we all know never happens because we always buy tools, then you're going to end up creating a system for a something that's not complete in terms of what you're going to have. So when you're doing things like building out shelves in your van or trailers, you need to have it somewhat modular. In other words, you need to have it to where you can adjust shelves, or don't build it so that everything is perfectly tight so that one little thing fits in there and that's it. Because what if you buy a new thing, a new version of that, and the case doesn't fit? Now you have to go back and fix your system. So the more rigid, and this is a metaphor for everything, the more rigid that you make the system, the harder it is to make changes in the future, right? So one thing that I always like to do when I build out vans and stuff is I leave room for expansion. So I may only build out 90% of the capacity of what I can do in that van, and I'll leave 10% undone because I know I have some growth. I'm going to make some changes. I also want to work out of it. If it's a new vehicle, when I went from an Econoline van into a transit panel van, that's a different setup, right? It's taller, it's bigger. I got more room, sliding door versus, doors on the side that open. And so I wanted to work out of it first for a little bit to see what it's going to be like long term. So that may be a 6 month to 1 year process. I went in there for I don't remember exactly off the top of my head, but probably spent somewhere near 40-50 hours building out all of the shelves, and they're completely modular. I can slide shelves in and out. I can make them taller, shorter. I can do all kinds of things because I wanted to be able to use it and work out of it for a while. In case I didn't like something, I could change it up. So that's something when you're building systems, you want to make it somewhat modular, especially if it's around work vans and vehicles and trailers. That was something I've always done in all my vehicles and trailers, is always built out shelves. Every place has a home. I spend a lot of time and energy on labeling things so that I could hire a new person throw them in the van and say, hey, find me this type of anchor or screw, and everything's labeled. They could just go right to it and find it in a matter of seconds, and they don't have to spend 15, 20 minutes looking for something. Those types of investments in systems will save you 100-fold over the years. So don't be scared to invest a substantial amount of time into a system, because it will improve the efficiencies of your business, and also will improve your frustration level. I've been through many vehicles. I've upgraded from pickups to having boxes in the back to side boxes to vans, and I've done all kinds of upgrades and different changes. And every time I would do that, it would reduce my frustration level of trying to find stuff. When I first started, I had a pickup, I had a box that like set down in the bed, and then I had like a separate box that was just floating around there, and that was it. And I had tools in there, and every time I needed to get something, I had to climb up in the bed of my truck and open up the toolbox and dig through all my crap, because it was just all thrown in there. It'd take 10 minutes to find, whatever. And I grab my extension cords and it's all tangled up with stuff. And I get so frustrated trying to work out of something like that. But you can improve as you go. And then I got a small trailer to help. And that was an upgrade, and that was great. But then the small trailer still had stuff thrown in there. It was a pain in the butt to get saws in there because it didn't have a ramp, had door on it. So I knew when I upgraded my trailer, I had to have a ramp. And so that's stuff that you're going to have to learn through using it and applying it. But you can also learn some of that by getting on YouTube and searching other contractors and stuff who've done videos on like how to organize your van and trailer. That can help shortcut the process. So systems don't have to be just specifically like your trailer. It can be a system can be as literally as simple as like where you put your ladder. Maybe you have or extension cords. Like maybe you have a hook in your trailer and it's by the back door, and that's where the extension cords go. Well, that may be pretty simple. That's very basic, right? But if you don't have a way of teaching other contractors like that you hire, not contractors, but employees, if you don't have a way of teaching your employees a simple way where that goes, they may not put the extension cord there. They may just throw it in the trailer, right? So one hook with an extension cord and either a label that says extension cord, or if you really want to really want to make it foolproof, you take a picture of the extension cord hanging on the hook and you laminate that picture and you staple it or tape it to the wall, so that when someone walks up there, they literally can see a picture of how it goes. That's how you make it foolproof. Because now I don't have to tell or teach someone, hey, the extension cord goes on the hook. That's a very, very basic example, obviously. But the more complex it gets, the harder it is to teach that stuff. And so when you hire a new person and you're trying to onboard them and you're throwing them into this truck or trailer or van or whatever, and you may have, if you're a plumber and you have 250 different fittings in the van in different locations, they're not going to pick that up in 2 days. It's going to take them a couple of weeks of working out of that van before they can figure out where stuff goes, unless you have everything labeled and everything has a place and you have a system in place. Then you can literally take a picture of an entire shelf and have that picture laminated and taped on there. And now they can visually see where stuff goes, and they can actually know that. You can even create a schematic drawing of like one shelf, one side of the van with all the shelves and all the bins, and you just have it labeled, fitting here, fitting, different types of fittings, different types of pieces, blah, blah, blah. And you can just have that like stapled to the wall. And so if I'm looking for a specific fitting, I can go to that sheet and just look by the word, look by it, and then see exactly where it's at, and then look over here to where the wall is and get that fitting. That's how you make things super easy for people. But if you just have it randomly thrown in there, if you're a plumber and you have, on one side you have 1/2-inch elbows, and then you have 3/4-inch T's, and then 1-inch ball valves, and there's no rhyme or reason behind it, people aren't going to, it's going to be crazy, and you're going to have a hard time trying to teach new people whenever you hire them. And they'll get frustrated when someone comes on and they can't grasp on to what you're doing. They will get frustrated with you in the business, and they will quit, and you won't know why. It's because they're frustrated with, maybe they're not learning fast enough. Maybe they feel like they're not learning the stuff, and that maybe they're dumb and like, hey, I'm never going to catch on to this stuff. I'm never going to get it. But what happened was, you actually set them up to fail to begin with, because you don't have a system in place that's easy for them to understand and use, and it's easy to replicate with new people, right? That may seem like, you may say, oh, that's minor, and that's not gonna be a reason, or some people aren't going to say that or whatever. But I guarantee you, it happens. I've had people tell me that on exit interviews. I just feel like I can't get a hold of this. I can't, it's just too much. I feel like I'm getting I'm overpaid for what I'm just not delivering enough. Now, I know a lot of people are like, well, that's bullcrap, because everybody complains they don't get paid enough. I'm telling you, if you hire right people and they don't think that they're not getting it quick enough, they will feel like there's something wrong with them, like they're not cut out for doing that job. So if you create systems, it makes it super easy. If your processes live in your brain, and the way you run your business and run your processes is, hey, John, go out to my truck, look in the bottom drawer on the left side toolbox, and there should be some screws in there. Go get those for me. If that's your process, and you can't just say, John, go get the screws out of the truck, and he can go get them, there's a totally different breakdown, right? If you have to tell them where everything's at all the time, that's because you don't have a good system. This is one of the reasons why contractors use the word common sense. It's common sense. Like, all the screws are in the side box. How many times have you been there and got the screws? Like, you should know by now that all the screws are on the side box, and it's just common sense. Well, it's not. It's not common sense. Just because you've been doing it for 10 years and you know that all the screws are on the side box, doesn't mean that somebody who just started a month ago, who's only done it 4 times, is going to remember where the screws are, right? That's not the same thing. And we get caught up with this idea that somebody's supposed to start and they're supposed to be able to do everything that we do in like 3 months. And that's completely unrealistic. But if you create systems in your business, it makes it easier for people to understand, because now, if you have a diagram of where all of the parts are in your truck, and it's either laminated and it's in the vehicle, or you give them a book or whatever, however you have that available to them, and you said, hey, go get those screws, they could easily look at the diagram and see the screws. And then by looking at that, it's actually going to train their brain where stuff's at. So you can make that process much easier by setting them up. Those types of systems do take time to implement. Most people don't want to spend the time implementing that type of system in their business, because they feel like it takes too long. People don't want to get a label maker and put labels on everything, because they think it takes too long. It doesn't. You may spend 5 hours labeling everything in your van. It may take you a whole day to label every single thing in your van, but it will save you 5 to 10 minutes of execution every time that someone needs to get in your van. And over the course of a year or 2 years, or however long they work there, and every time you hire someone new and have to do this process over, it will save you hundreds of hours over the life of your business. So you have to look at those things as investments, not as something that's, you don't want to spend the time doing because it's a low value. You think it's a low value task. So other types of systems, the biggest system, by the way, guys, if you're watching, if you have any questions, throw them in the comments. If you're watching live, put them in the comments. I want to answer them for you. If you have any questions about this, I'll be sure to do that. Excuse me. So the biggest system that I see contractors struggling with is like an estimating system, like how to put together the estimates. Now, if you're watching live on Facebook or YouTube, I do have a little thing here I'll throw up so you guys can see it. I use a program. I use a program in my construction business called Projul. It's Projul. Projul. Now, if you're watching live, you can see the link. I have a um, I have a referral code that if you guys use that, you can get $100 off, $100 credit if you, after a trial. I think they have a 7-day trial, and then if you end up keeping it, they'll give you $100 credit. So if you want to take advantage of that, if you're looking for an estimating project management software, you can check out Projul. The link for the guys on TikTok, it's Projul, www.projul.com/hammer and grind. I'll throw it in the comments here. I'm not going to put a link on it though, because anytime you throw a link in TikTok, it won't let it go through. So you'll be able to figure it out. But it's Projul, and then hammer and grind spelt out. Okay, so if you're on TikTok, look in the comments under I put it under my other account, user 6713 or whatever it is. It's projul.com/hammer and grind. If you use that, if you go to the website and put that in, then you'll get a discount code if you decide to use it. Now, Projul is a complete software to run your whole business. It's not just estimating. It does estimating, it does scheduling, it does your project management, it's a CRM for your contacts, it does invoicing, it takes online payments. You got a customer portal so they can see the information. You can do, contracts in there, have your people sign them digitally. It does all kinds of stuff. I've been using it for about a little over 2 years, and it's very affordable. I love their pricing structure because they don't do they just have different tiers of pricing based on how many users you have. A lot of companies will say, well, our basic tier is $100 a month, but you don't get any of the good stuff. So if you want to get the good stuff, you have to pay an extra $100 a month to get the good stuff. And if you want to get the really good stuff, you got to pay another two. They tier based on features. What Project does is you get everything. You get 100% of all of the features. You just pay based on how many users you have. So as you scale your business, you just jump up to the next level. I think it's 1 to 5 users is the base, and then it goes from like 6 to 10 or something like that, so on and so on. And it's very affordable. So if you're needing something like that, go check out that. Use that link. You'll get a discount if you end up using it. And their customer service is phenomenal. I'm on a first name basis with the head developer there. Him and I have lots of conversations. He was actually on my podcast. He usually rolls out new features for me to look at because I'm a what's the word? It's a power user. I come from a tech background. This is one of the reasons why I like software. And so I like to look at stuff and I give him feedback. So he'll roll out a new feature and be like, hey, here's a new thing we're wanting to try out. What's your thoughts on it? And I'll play around with it and look at it and say, yeah, I think it's great. I think you need to change this. You need to add that. So I'm on a first name basis with the team there. But beyond that, it's a great program. And I've tried many, many, many programs, guys. I've spent probably well over 100 hours implementing, I've used Jobber, I've used Service Fusion, I've used lots of other ones, and I just haven't been able to find one that's as good as Projul. Now, one thing I'll tell you that's bad about Projul is they don't have a very good CRM, like email management. So if you want to send out newsletters, if you want to be able to send out an email or a text to your team, your customers, they don't have that developed yet. So that's one of the downsides of Projul is it doesn't have a very good CRM communication management side to that. But everything else as far as running your business is pretty locked on. They have some pretty awesome templates. You can create entire project templates from tasks that need to be completed, to an estimate, to scheduling, everything. If you do bathroom remodels and you have a certain, thing of like demo and then plumber and then electrician and then this, and this, you can create an entire project template. And then all you have to do if you're going to do a new bathroom model, you just select that template and then you just go in and make whatever minor changes you need to. So if the plumbing is going to typically takes 1 day for rough in, and now you're doing a really big one, it's going to take 2 days. You just go into the Gantt chart and you just drag the plumber over 1 day, and then everything else is tied to that, and it will move everything else over on your schedule. It's pretty powerful. So project management, I recommend Progil. So what else can we look at? You have project management. You have software for social media. There's one that I like to use. It's called Publr. I can't even remember the name of it. Publr, Publer. Publr. That is one that I like to use. That is for posting on social media. If it's kind of similar to Hootsuite, if you've ever used Hootsuite, but Publr, Publer, is another one that's a little bit. The pricing on it's pretty good. I have a referral code, but I don't have it set up to show you guys, but I'll post it in the chats for you. Publr is the social media platform that I use to schedule posts for my businesses. So that's another one. Publr. I've already told you about Workflowy. I've told you about Progil. I've told you about Publr. If there's any, and by the way, guys, if you have any other like types of systems that you want to create in your business and you need help, especially if it's a software-based system, throw it in the comments, and I probably know one that will help you solve that problem. Another one that I use for reviews. Now, here's a system. If you're not collecting reviews on every single job, you're missing out on all the future referrals that you're going to get from reviews. Reviews are the single biggest thing that you need to have in your business going forward. Reviews will be more important in the future than your actual website. Reviews are that important, and if you don't think they are, you're wrong. And I can give you all kinds of data to back this up. But you have to have as many reviews as you want. I mean, as you can get. How do you streamline that process? How do you create a system for collecting reviews? Well, there's lots of ways you can do that. You can just have it to where when you're done with the job and you collect the check, maybe you have a piece of paper you hand them that has a QR code on there that they can take a picture of. Maybe you ask them, hey, would you mind leave us a review? Like, you can manually do that. But what I did that allowed me to add over 100 reviews in a year's time was use a software. And it's not the cheapest, but it's worth every penny. It's $75 a month, and it's called Nice Job. NISCJOB. I'll put this one in the chat for you guys. Nice Job. I think it's not .com. It's like it's either .co or something else. It's a weird. By the way, if you want links to these, you can just go to my website. You can just go to hammerandgrind.com, go to tools of the trade at the very top, and it'll take you to all of those links. All the ones I'm telling you about, I have them on my website, so you can get easy access. So if you can't write it down, if you're watching this live and you're not able to write it down, you can just go to my website and get access to those. Nice Job is one that I use to automate all my reviews. You can also throw it on your website so that it'll have a little widget on your website. So every time someone leaves a review for you, it will post it on your website automatically. How does Nice Job work? Nice Job, it has technology built in so that after the job is done, and you can do it manually, or you can do it through automation, which I'll get into next. But you can trigger when you put a new customer into Nice Job, and you set up, you can do text messages or you can do emails, you can do a combination of both, but typically there's 5 different messages that go out. I usually send out 2 text messages first and then 3 emails. So if they don't respond after the first 2 text messages, they'll get emails as well. And then the final email is like, hey, this is my last message to let I'm not going to be sending you any more reminders. If you would leave me a review. Funny thing about that is the number one clicked open out of the 5 messages that go out, the last one that says this is the last message is the one that people click on the most and leave a review. It's not because people don't want to leave you reviews, it's because they're busy and they want to leave you a review. But if you just send out one text, or if you say, hey, if you wouldn't mind leaving me a review, I appreciate it. Oh yeah, absolutely, I will. And then you leave, and then the phone rings and it's their daughter. And then the next thing you know, they've totally forgot about it. They wanted to leave you a review, but they forgot about it. And so if you're like, oh man, those people never left me a review, I must have done a crappy job for them. No, they just forgot. So if you have to send out reminders, and so Nice Job automates all of this for you. And so the last one's like, hey, this is the last message. They'll leave a review. There's lots of cool things you can do with it. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but you can leave stories, you can do pictures, they can upload pictures and all kinds of stuff. But what's cool about it is that when they click on this link, it somehow, I don't know how, it somehow knows what type of uh, like accounts they have. And you can set it up. You can set it up to where you only want to receive Google reviews. You can set it up to where you get only Facebook reviews. You can set it up to Google and Facebook, or maybe you use Yelp or whatever the main ones that you use. There's like 6 or 7 different review sites that you can pick from. It knows if these people have accounts at these places. So if you pick Google, Facebook, and Yelp as your 3 that you want to pick, because you can pick 3, I think. And the people click the link, and all they have is a Google account. They don't have a Facebook or a Yelp. It only gives them the option of Google. If they have a Google and Facebook, it will only give them the option of Google and Facebook because it knows they have accounts. And then they click on one of those and they're able to leave a review. It auto posts to that account, and then you're done. You can also set up a social media post so that every time you get a review, it will automatically post on your social media account, hey, we just received another 5-star review from so and so, and it will show that on your social media. There's tons of automations you can do with it. This is how you get smart with your systems and using technology to leverage your time. Because I guarantee you, if you're a one-man show like a handyman or something and you're working 40, 50, 60 hours a week on the job, you're not spending time collecting reviews. You're not spending time, trying to streamline the process because you're simply working all the time. But you're going to have to spend a little bit of time up front to save you hundreds of hours of execution on the back end. That's just, you have to do that. There's no way around that. I mean, you can hire some people to set that up for you, but you're going to pay more money up front to have that done. But in some cases, it may be worth it. Okay. The other software that I want to share with you for systems is called Zapier. If you don't know what Zapier is an API software. This in the chat too. So Zapier is a API software that allows different softwares to talk to each other. This is how you can create processes that work without you. So like I have a Zapier integration with Nice Job that would tie in with like QuickBooks. So if I would enter in the way I had it set up was that every time I put a new payment, every time I received a payment or an invoice from a client, it would trigger the Nice Job to send out their request. So like if I send them an invoice, it would trigger Nice Job to start the review request campaign, the 5 messages that I would send them. That's automated. I don't have to do anything with that. I don't have to send the person the review request. All I would do is have my office manager, after we got done with a job, before I created the invoice, she would call and say, hey, this is, so and so with the company, just calling to check on the job, see how the guys did, how everything went. They're like, oh, it's great, blah blah blah. Awesome. You'll be receiving a request to leave us a review If you wouldn't mind doing that, we'd really appreciate it. It helps, helps us get more business or whatever you want to say. So I'm prompting them that they're going to get a request for a review, and usually like, oh yeah, absolutely, I would love to. And then, later that day or the next day or whatever, they get a request, they get a text message and emails that say, hey, leave us a review. So that part's completely automated, right? So you got to use automation, you got to use systems to streamline your business. I did in my business. I've been in business for 12 years, my construction business. We did handyman and remodeling. The remodeling, we would only do maybe 10 to 15 larger projects per year. The handyman stuff, we did a crap ton of. So in the course of a year, like the last 3 years in a row, I was doing roughly 300 jobs a year. And I would only had over those 3 years, I had anywhere from myself or a 4-man team and an office manager, or I'm sorry, a 3-man team and an office manager. It varied. But when you're doing 300 jobs a year, that's a lot of connections that have to be made. And the only way I was able to do that volume was through technology. That's the only way. I couldn't do it if I was still using piece of paper and trying to keep track of this crap on my own. So you have to use technology is a force multiplier. The technology can do the job of 5 people if it's set up right, like administrative people. Obviously, technology, like a software, is not going to help you create, do the project that you're doing, but it will help you do all of the back end office stuff that needs to be done. So use technology to your advantage. That's playing in. That's technology is a tool to create systems, right? Some systems are manual. Some systems can be simply where you keep the stuff in your shop. I have a wall out in my shop where I keep all my ladders, ladder stabilizers, ladder jacks, anything that has to do with ladders or like, roofing, getting on the roof or whatever. I have a whole wall with all my ladders have hooks, and they have specific places they have to be. So when we're not using them, because these aren't things that we carried on our vehicles all the time, if we needed the 12-foot step ladder, we went over there off the wall, grabbed it off the wall, threw it in the truck, and when we got back, we put it back on the wall. Everything had a place. It's perfectly laid out. There's hooks. Everything fits very tight, so I have maximized the amount of space that I have. That's a system. It's not a complex system, but it's a system. If you just have stuff thrown everywhere, but you don't have a system, right? And you're just wasting your energy and you're wasting your time trying to solve this problem. If you're the type of guy that gets up in the morning and you open the garage door in your house and you're like, okay, what tools do I need today? Well, let's see. We're going to be setting cabinets today. So I need a nail gun and I need a chop saw and I probably need a table saw. If that's what you're doing now, honestly, you shouldn't even be in business. If that's how you do things now, you probably should not be in business. Now, unless you started a month or 2 months ago and you're just getting started, that's cool. But if you're like 3 years in and that's still how you do things, you're missing so much opportunity. You're wasting so much time. It's not even funny. You should have papers or checklists. We would go out and we would get to the job site and like, hey, whoever, Eric, did you load up did you grab the transit off the shelf? No, I didn't grab it. I didn't know we needed it. Dude, every time we build decks, we know we need the transit. Well, I didn't even think about it. I mean, why would I know that? So how do you solve that? You take a piece of paper, take a blank piece of paper, and you write out, what tools do we need to do this job? If we're going to build a deck, what tools do we need to do this job? Okay, we need this, and this. We need these 20 tools in order to build a deck, right? And maybe you have your team, if your employees, do this with you. Okay, what do we need to build? Well, we need this and this and this. What about that? Oh yeah, I forgot about that. We need that. Okay, we put all these things on there. Now we write them on a piece of paper. Okay, now you take that piece of paper and either hand it to an office manager, you hand it to an assistant, or you do it yourself and you type it up in Word or Excel or something, and you create a little checkbox next to each thing. Okay, and then whenever you're going to go build a deck. The first day you're going to get ready. If you're still loading tools up each time, and maybe you're not, maybe you have trailers or vans, but you still have specific tools that you don't carry every day, like I did. But I knew I needed to take them on that specific project. You would take that piece of paper with that checklist that says decks or whatever you're doing, and whenever you do that job, you grab that piece of paper out of your job folder or whatever however you're doing it. If it's online, it's using your app or whatever, you can create checklists, which by the way, you can do this in Project. You can create checklists and you go, okay, guys, this is what we need. Maybe 15 of the 30 things you need are always on the truck. You don't have to load them up. They're always on the truck, but you still go check them, because what about the time the guy took it off the truck to fix it and then he didn't put it back in the truck? So you go in, you check. Yep, I got this. Yep. We got these 15. Cool. Now go grab these other 15 things we need. Throw them in the truck or the van, trailer. You throw them in there. Everything's checked off. Now you can leave and know without a shadow of a doubt that you have all the tools that you need to complete that job, right? Because you have a checklist and you have it. Now, if you have employees, maybe you're not in the field anymore. Maybe you're in the office and you have a lead guy. Your lead guy is checking it off, and he's going to check it off, and he's going to have a little signature thing. Maybe, I don't know. It just depends on what's important to you. And after he checks it off, he's either going to throw it in your job folder. Maybe he puts it in a file box outside your office, whatever process you want to create. Because if they go to the job and you're doing your job costing at the end of the job, which every one of you should be doing, by the way, job costing, and you're saying, okay, I had this job bid for 100 man hours. How come we got 115 man hours on that? Why we go 15 hours over? Well, because we forgot a tool. We forgot the chop saw or whatever. We forgot the table saw the day we started, and we had to run back to the shop, and the job was 45 minutes away. So that was an hour and a half right there. And then on the third day, we needed the planer, and we didn't have that. So we had to go back to the office. And you're like, well, wait a minute. Wait. You guys signed off on this checklist right here. Planer, table saw, checked. What do you mean you didn't have them? It just got missed. Okay, well, that's not good enough. You're the lead guy. You checked all these. What happened? Well, actually, I didn't check it. I had the assistant check it, and I guess he missed it. Okay, well, that's on you. You failed to do your job. Now we got to rectify this problem. Now you have accountability, guys. That's how you create accountability, is through checklists, right? I wish I would have thought about this. I would have. Actually, I think I have it right here. Hold on. This is a job. This is a job binder that I would have to give to my teams out in the field. This isn't everything, but this here, if you can see this, it literally says items to put in binder. This is a checklist for my office staff, my office manager, of everything that she needs to put into the binder so that the team has everything they need out in the field. It's a checklist for my office staff to make sure the checklists are in the binder. So I have a checklist for a checklist. You understand how you create systems? It says in here, estimate, items to put in binder, estimate. First page only with address, name, and the scope of work, because the guys don't need to know all of the different prices and stuff. It's just the first page. It has all the information they need. If it's a bathroom, it has the bathroom remodel master schedule, in quotes, saved in project binder forms, Google Docs. So she has a note on the checklist of literally where the checklist is saved in the Google Docs, so that when she needs to print out the checklist, she knows exactly where it's at. She put the location of the checklist on the Google Drive folder on the checklist that she needs to print out the checklist. You guys understand how to create processes and systems in your business. You don't have to think about this. If I were to hand this paper to a brand new person today, it says on here where to get all the checklists to put in the binder. They don't even have to know what the checklists do. They just know which ones to get and where to find them and put them in the binder, and then what order to put them in. Guys, this is how you create a business that you can scale, that will make it so much easier for you to run. Some of you guys are still trying to do this shit out of memory, and you forget stuff every single day. And the thing is, you forget. You literally forget how much stuff you forget and how much time and money that cost you. If you wrote down every single thing that you forgot to do or get that day, every single day, at the end of the week, you probably have over 100 things that you forgot to get or do. And you don't realize that how many it is. You may think you forgot 4 things that week, but you probably forgot 100. And that's costing you money every single time. It's also costing your sanity, by the way. That's why people go crazy in their business and they burn out and they quit, because they're trying to do 500 processes a week by themselves from memory instead of creating everything to be done automatically without you involved. This is how you get to the point to where you can go on vacation for 3 weeks and your business runs without you. You'll never be able to get to that point unless you create systems. Okay? Here's another system, a checklist. The pre-demolition checklist. Now, we did mostly bathrooms, so a lot of this stuff is like the same. The pre-demolition checklist, and this checklist is for a bathroom. If I was doing kitchens, I'd have a different set of checklists. If I was doing basement remodels, I'd have a different set of checklists. If I was doing deck additions, I'd have a different set of checklists. Some of those may be the same. I may have 5 or 6 checklists that are universal across all projects, but then within each type of project, I have different sets of checklists. This is another reason why you should niche down and do one thing, because if you niche down and do one thing, you only need one set of checklists. You don't need to have 15 different checklists for 15 different services that you offer. I digress. Pre-demolition checklist. Before demo, identify best location for tool and material storage and confirm with the customer. We want to make sure that when we come into your house and we set up all of our tools, that we're not going to set up, the table saw in the garage, and you want to be able to park your car in there every night. We want to make sure. So we're being cautious and courteous to make sure we have that. We want to make sure that if we're working in your master bedroom and you're planning on sleeping in your bedroom during that process, that we're not putting our toolboxes right in front of your dresser that you can't get access to your clothes every night. Those are things that we want to make sure of. So make sure you identify the best location and you confirm it with the customer. Hey, customer, is it okay if we put our tools over here? Yeah, that's great. These customers are a pain in the ass, man. They're complaining about our tools all being in the way and we, all this stuff. Don't they know we're trying to do construction here? I mean, come on. These customers are ridiculous. We're trying to do a job and they're complaining that our tools are in the way. No, you just suck at your job. That's what's happening. If you have a checklist that prevents that from happening, guess what? You just added more value. Now they're going to be super psyched about you and what you do. Number 2, put runners down. Put down runners and drop cloths where needed from the door that we will be using during the project. This is how you dumb it down so that there's no confusion. You don't show up to the job site and there's no runners on the ground and it's like, guys, why didn't you put runners down? Oh, I didn't know we were supposed to. Well, it's checked off right here. And the lead man, it says right here, lead man sign off. The lead man signed off that it was done. So somebody's lying. Somebody didn't do their job. Right here, put down runners and drop cloths where needed from the door that we will be using to the bathroom. So from the front door or the garage door or the side door or the back door, however we're going in the house, from that door all the way to the bathroom we're working in, there should be runners or drop cloths put down to protect the floors. Number 3, check walls on other side of demo wall and remove anything hanging that will break. How many times have you been doing demo in a room and you start banging on the wall and all of a sudden you hear a crash bang and you go look and there was a picture on the wall on the other side of the wall as an interior wall and that fell off the wall and broke? It's happened. I've done it. That's why it's in here, because I've done it before. But guess what? When you hire a new guy, do you think, especially if he's an apprentice, do you think he knows to check the other side of the wall? No, he doesn't know to check the other side of the wall. Even if he's been there for 6 months, people forget. I forget. I forget to check the other side of the wall. But if I'm going through my checklist, guess what? I can't forget. I no longer have to remember to do something. It's in my checklist to do it. Okay? Install dust barrier with doors and make sure walls and ceiling are sealed. I'm not going to go down all of these. During demo, be cautious of debris while carrying outside and pick up any little pieces as you walk by. Why? You load your trash can up or whatever, you trash bags, whatever you got, or your big chunks of drywall or whatever, and you're carrying them through the house, and you're carrying a big piece of drywall, and it hits the doorway on the way out, and it knocks a little chunk of drywall off, and it falls on the ground. It happens. No big deal. You go all the way outside, you throw it away. On your way back in, you should be looking down at the ground to make sure you didn't drop any debris on the way. Or at the very least, at the end of the day, you're going to do a sweep of everything and make sure you didn't leave debris. Why would you do this? Why is that so important? Because if you drop drywall on the ground, next person comes along, steps on it, it breaks it up, and now it's all over the carpet. It could stain the carpet potentially, whatever. It's in here. Everything is thought out in here. So, checklist. Create checklists for your processes. You're going to create a checklist the first time like this, and you're going to go to the job site and you're going to start using it, and you're going to be like, crap, I forgot to put in there, seal off the vents with magnets or tape so we don't get dust in the vents. Totally forgot about that. And you're going to go back and you're going to open up your checklist and you're going to add it. That's why you're not going to completely do it from start to finish and have it perfect. You have to add on to it. You have to build it. Some of the other checklists I have in here are, pre-tub shower pan install checklist. Make sure all the nails and screws are removed around the opening. There's nothing worse than trying to set a shower wall and you're getting in there and holding, and there's one little freaking screw in the corner that's holding you out. So I put a checklist in there. Make sure you check and make sure all the screws are removed. Make sure the framing is square. Make sure the floor is level. Make sure the drain location has adequate cutout for the P-trap and assembly. Make sure plumbing depth on shower valve is set correctly based on the type of wall and surround. Post install, make sure tub surround doesn't squeak when you step inside of it. Why are these on here? Because I've done jobs that have always come back as after you install it, you come back the next day, you check it and it squeaks. These are things that I've experienced. So guys, as you're doing jobs and you're running across problems, you should have a book of some kind of notepad or whatever. At the end of every day, you should be writing in your book what got accomplished, what kind of problems we ran into, so on and so on. You should be tracking every single day and then putting this information into checklists and in your processes. So I hope I'm giving you some good advice or good ideas. We got a bathroom pre-drywall checklist. Now, why would we have a pre-drywall checklist? Because once you put the drywall on, you can't go back and fix anything without tearing it all off. So, stuff for electrical, plumbing, framing, HVAC. There's checklists for all 4 categories. Are the drains glued? Sounds simple, but it's happened. Are the supply lines installed correctly? Are there strike plates installed for protection? I can't tell you how many times the plumber forgot to put a strike plate on, or the electrician didn't put any strike plates on. It's code requirement here, but even beyond the code, there's nothing worse than screwing through the wall and then hitting a water line or electrical line, having to rip everything out and fix it. So it only takes like literally 10 seconds to check and make sure all of the strike plates are installed. You just scan the room, boom. It saved my butt many times having strike plates installed because of this checklist, where we went and checked it and the electrician didn't put any strike plates on, and we had to go put the strike plates on. And then when we went to put the cabinet in, I screwed right into it and it hit the damn strike plate, and it was a long cabinet screw. Otherwise it would have hit that wire. It saved my butt. It saved my butt using this checklist. Material receiving checklist. When we receive materials, we have a checklist of what we do to make sure the materials aren't damaged. There's nothing worse than getting a vanity delivered. You got it in a box, you throw it in the garage, it sits there for 3 weeks while you do the project. You get ready to install the vanity, you open the box and the corner's damaged because you didn't check it when you got it. If you would have checked it when you got it, that gives you 3 weeks of time that you can get a new one ordered and have it there. It may not show up for another 6 weeks, but you're not wasting 3 weeks of time when you could have known that it was damaged. I mean, this stuff sounds so basic, guys, but this is what you have to do to make sure that you have processes in place and systems in place that check everything. I have a vanity and top installation checklist. And I have all kinds of stuff that go on, all the way to a final punch list checklist. Final punch list checklist. When we go in and do our final cleaning. Can you get a copy of my checklist? I don't have that available right now. I don't have that available because honestly, I mean, you could use it as a starting point. But you need to create your own checklist. So I don't know what you do. Do you do bathrooms? I just have that for the bathroom remodeling. That's all we ever really did was bathrooms. I did a few kitchens and a few remodel basements, so I never got around to actually creating checklists for those other ones because we didn't do that many of them. So anyways, guys, that's an overview of creating systems in your business and processes. I hope this was helpful for you. If you have any other questions, you can always shoot me a message. Make sure you follow me on TikTok. Make sure if you're not in my Facebook group, you can go to my Facebook group. It's called the Contractor Profit Group on Facebook. You can search for me there. You can also all my links are on TikTok or in my bio. If you go click on my name, there's a little link in there. It's got arrows pointing down. You can get access to all my stuff, my podcasts. I got a job costing worksheet in there. It's free. I got a labor burden worksheet that you can purchase for $39. That's to help you figure out what your labor burden costs truly are, because that's what's costing you thousands of dollars if you don't know your true labor burden. I got all kinds of stuff like that in there. So you can always email me directly if you want. It's info at hammerandgrind.com. And if you're watching this live on Facebook or YouTube, you can use those channels to reach out to me. But if you're on TikTok, just go to my profile, click on the link, you'll get access. You can find me that way. And if you want help in your business, guys, if you want me to help you create a business that creates that supports the lifestyle that you want, one of the things I do in the Profit Club is we really try to create a business that supports the lifestyle that you want. One of the things that I'm working on behind the scenes is in my program is putting together some modules on like how to get the lifestyle you want. The whole purpose of owning the business is to support our lifestyle. We don't have a lifestyle to support our business. So if you're a slave to your business, there's some things you need to do in your lifestyle choices to make sure that your business will support that. I can help you with the business stuff. I don't get into the life coaching and all that crap. But you do need to create a lifestyle that you want, and then generate the structure of the business around supporting your lifestyle. So, Tina, it's a group coaching program. It's for 1 year access for the coaching, and I have lifetime access to all of the training videos, all of the private. I have a private Facebook group that you can have access to everyone, all the other members. The entire program is for, like I said, it's a lifetime access, and then you get the coaching. I have 3 coaching calls a week for the entire year. It's 12 months access, and the entire program is a one-time payment, just a one-time payment of $5,000. I also have a 10x guarantee. So if you don't make $50,000 in the next 12 months extra, not just 50,000, if you don't increase your revenue by $50,000, I'll give you your money back. It's a 10x guarantee. I've made it basically as foolproof as possible. So before here's the thing though. I don't typically just throw out the price because I need to make sure that I can help you, one, because I don't even know what you do. I have no idea what you or anybody else watching does. So I don't even know if I can help you. Two, I want to make sure you're going to be a good fit for the community because the community is actually really important. Everyone in there are professionals. Everyone in there wants you to succeed. And the last thing I want is to have some goober come in there, start thinking he knows everything and telling us that he can do better or whatever. So I interview people. If I don't think you're going to be a good fit, I won't let you join. I don't care how much money you give me. So there is kind of an interviewing process involved in that. So if you do want to, if you're interested in that, please reach out to me. You can actually schedule in the links. You can schedule a call with me directly. Thank you for the roses too, by the way. I appreciate it. Guys, one last thing before we jump off here. If you would just double tap the screen and give me some likes on TikTok here. It just helps the whole algorithm. It helps my account give a little bit of boost to it. So before we leave here, if you would just double tap the screen, I'd really appreciate it. And if you guys are watching live on Facebook or YouTube, appreciate you jumping on here. And I'll be live again. Actually, I won't be. So this Friday, I'm going to be gone. The following Monday, I'm having nose surgery. I'll be out for that week. So I won't be live again for probably 2 weeks, just to give you guys a heads up. I may go live again this week before Friday, but that'll just be a random thing there. So appreciate you all that are watching and stay to the end, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you. Have a great day.